Hello, we're about to work our way into week number 12. Um, as you are completing the work for week number 11, don't forget that your project number 2 is due at 11:55 p.m. this evening. Also, test number 3 is due at 11:55 p.m. this evening. As you move into week 12, go ahead and open up the project number 3 folder. What you'll notice is that you have samples of project number 3. These are aligned directly with project number 2 samples. So if you looked at project number 2 sample 1, you'll see how combining the literature review portion, the secondary research, with the primary research results in project number 3 sample 1. So they're all the same writers. They just are there to show you the completion of this particular project. Now, with that said, what I want you to keep in mind is what we're working on as we press forward is the primary research. Your due dates, you'll want to adhere to them. They're not always on Sunday evenings, so you want to make sure that you are aware of those due dates. I'll continually remind you, but ultimately what you have right now is project number 2 with your introduction, plus your thesis, your support and your counter argument, and your conclusion. What you're going to do in the next 10 days or so is flesh out that primary research. And then ultimately, what you're going to do is basically insert that primary research most of the time right before your existing conclusion. So you've got your project number 2 intro, body, conclusion. You're going to add that primary research and move that existing conclusion down. One variable is where that counter argument is going to be most appropriately placed. If it is the paragraph right before your conclusion, that leaves some decision making on your end. But ultimately, the culmination of these two pieces, project number 2 and the primary research analysis, create project number 3. I want you to pay attention to the rest of the criteria for this particular project and note that we do have our traditional title page, but we will add the abstract, that we have the text of the paper and the references page, but the paper needs to be a minimum of 7 pages long, just the text itself, not including the title page, abstract, or references page. Our primary focus, though, for the next few days, just over a week, will be that primary research. And then I will continue to walk you through the merging process so that you create the final project as it should look. Now, with that said, if you look at the primary research analysis assignment, what we have here is 2 parts. The first part, what I want you to do is write up the methods, because you can explain at this point who participated in your study, any demographics that you can include. For example, if you're using the survey as one of your primary research methods, you know that if you posted it on social media, that your friends and followers range in age from perhaps 15 to grandmas involved 65, that you have a mix of male and female. Those of you who asked pointed questions about that, though, in your survey can include specifics. Then, if you're planning to interview, include, the participants' criteria and any demographics that would be pertinent to your study as a whole. Now, again, look back at the samples that are already there for you, and you can see what this looks like written out. Then you're going to describe the instruments you use to collect the data. For example, a 10-question survey with both open-ended and closed-ended questions. You'll attach both of your tools as an Appendix A and an Appendix B to this set of methods. So you can simply do screenshots of your survey, or include all of your interview questions or your observation chart or a description of your experiment, whatever you choose to use for your primary research methods. And then you're going to explain when you collected the data. And this is an example. The survey was created on March 10th. It was distributed to a Write 160 class and friends and family via 2 social media sites, Facebook and Twitter. The survey was closed on X date. You'll want to include that for both methods. And again, I encourage you strongly to look at this as it's set up in any of the 4 samples provided for you in the project number 3 folder. This portion, just the methods, not all, not including the data analysis, will be what you give me this week. So participants, instrumentation, and data collection. And I want you to set it up with the headings. Methods should be centered, bold. Participants should be left aligned, bold. Instrumentation, data collection, the same. And then that will pave the way for the analysis of this information, which you need time to collect. Now, clearly, you can see we're down to the wire. If you're going to interview, you need to be interviewing this week. If you're going to observe, you need to be observing this week. Experiments need to be conducted this week. If you have questions about that, though, please let me know. This is a critical part of this particular process. We've been working on one aspect of it, the survey, since the middle of the semester. You might need to revisit that and send it out additional times so that you can get more responses. But those will be choices that you need to make this week. As I said, the primary research proposal will be due. Please adhere to the dates. Some of the dates will shift according to providing you with as much possible time to conduct this research as possible. Again, if you have questions, please feel free to let me know.